Tonight, the map of the Middle East is being redrawn in real time, and the shockwaves are hitting closer to home than many Americans realize. We have just received confirmation that Iran has launched a direct, long-range ballistic missile strike against the joint U.S.-U.K. military base on Diego Garcia. This isn't just another regional skirmish. It is a massive escalation that proves Tehran's reach extends thousands of miles beyond its own borders, directly threatening American strategic interests in the Indian Ocean. As President Trump signals that Operation Epic Fury is entering its final, most intense phase, the stakes for global security and your wallet at the pump have never been higher. If you are new to the Mitchell Report, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications, because this conflict is moving faster than the 24-hour news cycle can keep up with, and you cannot afford to be left in the dark as these events reshape the world. Here is where things stand right now. For the past 22 days, the world has watched as the United States and Israel launched a massive, coordinated campaign aimed at the total degradation of the Iranian regime's military machine, dubbed Operation Epic Fury by the White House. This mission has moved with a speed and lethality that has caught many seasoned analysts off guard. We are talking about a systematic dismantling of Iran's nuclear infrastructure, its naval capabilities, and its sprawling missile production network. Just hours ago, the Natanz nuclear site, long the crown jewel of Iran's atomic ambitions, was hit again. While Iranian officials are scrambling to claim there is no radiation leak, the International Atomic Energy Agency has confirmed significant damage to the facility's entrance buildings. This isn't just a tactical strike, it's a clear message. The red lines of the past decade have been erased. President Trump, posting on Truth Social as he traveled to the Winter White House, stated that he believes this war can be wrapped up rather quickly over the next few weeks. He claims the U.S. is getting close to meeting our objectives, which include the total destruction of Iran's defense industrial base and ensuring they never, ever achieve nuclear weapons capability. But as the smoke rises over Natanz, the regime in Tehran is proving it still has some fight left, and they are looking to draw blood far from the Persian Gulf. This brings us to the shocking development at Diego Garcia. For years, Western intelligence agencies operated under the assumption that Iran's ballistic missile range was self-limited to about 2,000 kilometers, enough to hit Israel or Saudi Arabia, but not much further. That assumption was shattered today. Iran fired 2 intermediate-range ballistic missiles, IRBMs, at the remote atoll of Diego Garcia, located roughly 2,500 miles, that's 4,000 kilometers, from the Iranian mainland. According to reports from the U.S. Navy, one of these missiles malfunctioned and crashed into the sea, but the other was intercepted in mid-flight by a U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyer using a sophisticated SM-3 interceptor. The intercept occurred in the mid-course phase, meaning the kill happened in the vacuum of outer space, outside the Earth's atmosphere. This is high-stakes, Star Wars-level technology being used in a real-world combat scenario. The significance of this cannot be overstated. If Iran can attempt to strike on Diego Garcia, they can theoretically reach major European capitals. They have effectively debunked their own claims of a defensive 2,000 km limit. This strike was likely a direct retaliation for UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer's decision to allow the US to use the base for offensive operations. It's a move that signals Tehran is no longer playing by the old rules of regional containment. Now, this leads to a bigger issue that every American is starting to feel: the economic fallout. While the military objectives might be nearing completion, the energy war is just heating up. In the last 48 hours, we've seen a dramatic spike in energy prices following Israeli strikes on Iranian gas fields in the Persian Gulf. In retaliation, Iranian drones and missiles have targeted Saudi oil refineries, Kuwaiti facilities, and UAE infrastructure. Brent crude oil has surged, briefly crossing the $119 a barrel mark. That is a staggering 60% increase since the start of this conflict. For the average American, this isn't just a headline, it's a direct hit to the household budget. We are seeing premium petrol prices hiked and warnings from U.S. oil executives that a prolonged closure or disruption of the Strait of Hormuz could lead to years of volatility. President Trump has been vocal about wanting allies like Japan to kick in some help to secure these vital waterways, noting that while the U.S. is an exporter of natural gas, our global allies are still dangerously exposed. The tension here is palpable. The White House wants a quick exit and a return to stability, but the physical destruction of energy infrastructure across the Gulf suggests that wrapping this up might be easier said than done. The strategic pivot we are witnessing right now is nothing short of historic. While the focus has been on the air campaign, the naval theater is where the regime is truly being strangled. Pentagon Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson confirmed that U.S. forces have already damaged or sunk more than 120 Iranian naval vessels, including all 11 of their submarines. Think about that. In just 3 weeks, the Iranian Navy has effectively ceased to exist as a cohesive fighting force, but the warthogs are still hungry. General Dan Kane reported that A-10 aircraft are currently hunting and killing the last of the IRGC's fast attack watercraft in the contested waters of the Persian Gulf. This is where it becomes important for every American watching. The mission is shifting from destruction to control. There is now serious discussion within the administration about a potential occupation of Kharg Island. For those unfamiliar, Kharg Island is the jugular vein of the Iranian economy, handling roughly 90% of the country's oil exports. By seizing or blockading this island, the U.S. wouldn't just be stopping a war, they would be turning off the lights on the regime's entire financial system. It's a high-stakes move that would force Tehran to either surrender or watch their nation's economy evaporate in real time. What happens next changes everything, because the boots-on-the-ground question is no longer a matter of if, but when and where. We have confirmed that the USS Boxer, along with the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, MEU, has officially departed San Diego for the Middle East. This unit is the pride of the Pacific, a self-contained force of 2,500 Marines equipped with F-35s and H-1 Viper attack helicopters. They are joining an additional 2,500 Marines already en route from Japan. While President Trump has publicly stated he has no plans for a full-scale invasion, these MEUs are designed for crisis response and securing key terrain. You don't send 5,000 elite Marines just to sit on ships. You send them to reopen the Strait of Hormuz and potentially secure those critical oil hubs like Kharg Island. The arrival of these reinforcements in about a month will provide the U.S. with the amphibious punch needed to transition from an air war to a stabilization phase. For the families of these 50,000 service members already in the region, the tension is sky high as the mission moves from laser-focused strikes to the complicated reality of holding territory. Now, this leads to a bigger issue: the widening rift between Washington and Jerusalem over the ultimate goal of this conflict. While the Trump administration is signaling a desire to wrap this up, Israel appears to be playing a much longer game. The Israeli Air Force recently conducted a massive strike on the South Pars gas field, the world's largest natural gas field, which Iran shares with Qatar. This strike reportedly knocked out 12% of Iran's total gas production and halted output at 2 major refineries. The fallout was immediate and chaotic. Qatar, a key regional mediator, was furious, especially after Iranian retaliatory strikes hit their Ras Laffan industrial city, causing extensive damage to their LNG export capacity. President Trump reportedly told reporters he knew nothing about the Israeli strike and warned that he would massively blow up the rest of the field if Iran continued to retaliate against Qatar. This is the Trump doctrine in action, a volatile mix of peace through strength and a refusal to be dragged into a multi-year quagmire. The president wants the nuclear threat gone and the oil flowing again. But our primary ally in the region seems intent on the total decapitation of the Iranian leadership, regardless of the temporary economic cost. And this is where the situation shifts from a regional war to a global energy crisis. The impact on Americans is no longer theoretical. As the war enters its 4th week, we are seeing oil shock levels of volatility. Crude prices have hit heights not seen since the peak of the 2020 to 2022 disruptions, and the U.S. stock market has felt the sting of every new missile launch. To counter this, the Trump administration took the extraordinary step of lifting sanctions on Iranian oil already loaded on ships, a move designed to flood the market and bring prices down even as we continue to bomb the country's production facilities. It's a bizarre, contradictory strategy. We are destroying the enemy's future capacity while trying to sell their current inventory to save American consumers from $6 a gallon gas. Meanwhile, Iran is lashing out at any soft target it can reach, including threats against recreational and tourist sites worldwide. This is the regime's Samson option. If they are going down, they want to take the global economy with them. The next few weeks will determine if President Trump can achieve his quick wrap-up, or if we are looking at a fundamental restructuring of the global energy map that will last for a generation. The timeline of this escalation is staggering. What started as a focused campaign on February 28, 2026, has evolved into a global maritime and aerial showdown in less than a month. In the first 100 hours of Operation Epic Fury alone, U.S. B-52 Stratofortresses devastated Iranian command centers and ballistic missile sites with a level of precision the world hasn't seen since the 1991 Gulf War. By March 12th, the IDF reported they had already dismantled over 250 Iranian drones and neutralized hundreds of launchers, but the regime's resilience is proving more stubborn than anticipated. Here is where it becomes important. The laser-focused mission Secretary of War Pete Hegseth described is now colliding with a reality where 16 merchant vessels have been hit in the Strait of Hormuz, killing 8 seafarers. This is no longer just about stopping a nuclear program. It's a fight to prevent the total collapse of global trade routes. As of this morning, U.S. and partner forces have hit thousands of targets, yet the Iranian Revolutionary Guard continues to find ways to lash out. The transition of power from the late Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei to his son Mojtaba seems to have happened overnight, stabilizing the regime's command structure faster than Western intelligence predicted. This suggests that despite the heavy losses, Tehran has a plan B for survival that involves a protracted asymmetric conflict. Now, this leads to a bigger issue, the shifting military footprint in the region. Even as President Trump talks about winding down military efforts, the Pentagon is doing the exact opposite. We have confirmed that 3 more amphibious assault ships, carrying an additional 2,500 Marines, are currently steaming toward the Middle East. This brings the total U.S. force in the theater to over 50,000 service members. Why the surge if the war is wrapping up? The answer lies in the persistent threat to our regional partners. While U.S. air defenses are performing at an elite level, evidenced by the SM-3 intercept over Diego Garcia, our allies in the UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Kuwait are taking a beating. Lucas Tomlinson, reporting from Dubai, describes a city under constant drone and missile alert, with over 1,400 drones and 250 ballistic missiles fired at the UAE alone. The objective now isn't just to destroy the Iranian military, it's to provide a physical shield for the world's energy supply. This is why you see the A-10 Warthogs and Apache helicopters being deployed specifically to secure the Strait of Hormuz. The winding down the president mentioned may refer to the high-intensity bombing of the mainland, but the maritime mop-up operation is likely to keep American boots on ships and potentially on key islands for months to come. What happens next changes everything for the Iranian people. We are seeing reports of public rallies in over 150 Iranian cities, but they aren't the pro-democracy uprisings some in Washington hoped for. They are state-sanctioned shows of continuity for the new supreme leader. However, beneath that surface, the regime is terrified. They have arrested over 500 people on charges of espionage and sabotage in just the last week, claiming these cells were coordinating with the U.S. and Israel. This internal crackdown is a sign of a regime that knows its foundation is crumbling. President Trump and Prime Minister Netanyahu have both directly messaged the Iranian people, telling them that the moment to pursue a new path of freedom is approaching. But for the average person in Tehran or Isfahan, that freedom currently looks like a landscape of shattered infrastructure and a 90% drop in domestic missile and drone capacity. The strategic goal is to force a choice. The military, police, and IRGC can either lay down their arms and receive full immunity or face what the president called certain death. It is a brutal, high-stakes gamble that relies on the hope that the Iranian military will eventually turn on its new leaders rather than go down with the ship. And this is where the situation shifts into a truly global crisis. The threat issued by Iranian General Abolfazl Shekarchi that parks, recreational areas, and tourist destinations worldwide are no longer safe has put intelligence agencies on high alert from London to San Francisco. This is the regime's attempt to export the cost of the war. They want to make the average American feel the same fear that residents of Dubai or Tel Aviv are feeling. While the U.S. stock market has been rattled by the spike in oil prices, the Trump administration's move to lift sanctions on Iranian oil already at sea is a calculated move to stabilize the economy before the 2026 midterm cycle. We are essentially funding the end of the war with the enemy's own resources. But the real wild card remains Russia. Vladimir Putin recently reaffirmed his support for Iran, and with the conflict entering its 4th week, the risk of a secondary power entering the fray is the highest it has been since the start of Operation Epic Fury. For Americans, the next 14 days will be the most critical. If the administration can truly wrap this up by securing the gas fields and decapitating the IRGC's naval reach, we might see a return to some form of stability. If not, the strike on Diego Garcia was just a preview of a much longer, much more dangerous reach. The timeline of this escalation is staggering. What started as a focused campaign on February 28, 2026, has evolved into a global maritime and aerial showdown in less than a month. In the first 100 hours of Operation Epic Fury alone, U.S. and Israeli forces devastated Iranian command centers and ballistic missile sites with a level of precision the world hasn't seen since the 1991 Gulf War. By March 21, 2026, the U.S. military reported hitting over 15,000 targets across Iran, including the total destruction of their 11-vessel submarine force and over 120 warships. Here is where it becomes important. The laser-focused mission described by the White House is now colliding with a reality where global energy security is at a breaking point. We have confirmed that Israeli strikes on the South Pars gas field, the world's largest, have knocked out 12% of Iran's total production. Tehran retaliated with a brutal strike on Qatar's Ras Laffan facility, causing damage that experts say could take 5 years to repair. This eye-for-an-eye strategy has pushed Brent crude past $118 a barrel. And for the first time, Americans are seeing the doomsday gas crisis scenario play out in real time. As of today, over 600 Indian seafarers and dozens of international vessels remain stranded in the Persian Gulf, caught in a blockade that shows no signs of lifting, even as President Trump hints at an exit. To summarize, the United States and Israel have effectively wiped off the map the conventional military capabilities of the Iranian regime, but the cost of victory is still being calculated. The strike on Diego Garcia proves that Tehran's reach was always greater than they admitted, and their warnings that tourist destinations worldwide are no longer safe suggest this war could follow us home in the form of asymmetric terror. While President Trump remains firm that he does not want a ceasefire until the mission is totally obliterated, the world is bracing for what comes next as the conflict enters its second month. This video is the only place you'll get the full, unvarnished truth about the scale of this conflict and its direct impact on your security and your wallet. The situation on the ground is changing by the hour, and the decisions made in the next few days will define the global order for the next 50 years. I am Mitchell. This is the Mitchell Report. Thank you for watching. If this video gave you information you could not find anywhere else, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Hit that like button and subscribe to the Mitchell Report, because the final phase of this war has just begun, and the most dangerous developments are still ahead of us.